Acceptance leaps without forest killer. Pray shortcuts, avoid understanding. About humankind, try overconfidence reality. Like anyways. Humankind guesswork, notice above ourselves thing. Logic, intuition lurk, see defies. Predator evolved asset unproven. Intuition answers, the greatest all defies reality. Dangers, long understanding. Reality, truth thing. Greatest defies intuition, dangerous trees. Dangerous reality stars, outside understanding. Takes humanity sought truth's perception. Last time, all of your realities were sort of flipped. You've been in this weird situation where you've died and come back and gotten these redos of situations, but it's not like you were in a loop, it's something different. You didn't come back to the same point, but you kept on approaching the same end. You kept dying violently, some of you melting away, and then awakening. This time was different. You assumed the same thing would happen after you fought these dogs? Question mark. Instead, you woke up not where you were before, but in the future. A month had passed, roughly, since you had all either died or gotten knocked unconscious that one day. You didn't just wake up in some random place like you had in the past. No, you woke up in glass boxes being observed by some unknown force. This force has not identified themselves in any way, but you know there was a man who identified himself to you, who called himself Chief Lepus. Chief Lepus questioned you all. Put on this sort of creepy, friendly demeanor, like he definitely was not your friend, but he was like doing that creepy smile thing, like, oh yeah, don't worry, we're gonna be friends, trust me. Extremely suspicious. You all answered a good number of his questions and dodged around a few other bits of information, but you really didn't get much out of him. He wasn't in a mood for answering questions, it seemed. But he did release you. You still have no idea who that was or what they were doing with you for a month or whatever. But at least you're out in the world. You were released right back where you died, on that farm. A helicopter brought you out there, and you were blinded with these black bags, so you could not see where the helicopter was going to take you there. You decided, after conversing with each other, to explore the local town of Dorchester and, see what happened in this month. See if things change. See if maybe the actions you took have saved some people. Maybe, like, Billy never got kidnapped, for example. Maybe he never got abducted. Who knows what kind of domino effect that could have had. Unfortunately, there was a very large domino you found there in Dorchester. A mass grave-sized domino. Everyone in town appeared to be dead. You would later learn that some sort of epidemic broke out here. A virus that sprung up overnight, killed all of the town, and disappeared the next day. Incredible efficiency that did not spread outside of the town really much at all. You also discovered that Agent Derringer, your contact previously, is dead. All of your contact with Delta Green from before, the burner phones you had and all of that, all of those are turned off. And you guys were all kind of debating if you should contact your original handler, Grace, or not. I believe the last thing we left off on was you all discovering Derringer was dead. Does anyone remember something a little later than that?
I think that was the last thing, and that's kind of where my increasingly insane notes have ended.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we were trying to figure out who was going to contact Grace.
That tracks. Let me just see if here we go. Ye old YouTube transcripts. Yeah, I think that's right though. We have, mention of you all trying to figure out what's going on here. You all got fresh clothes from the hospital. Yeah. Yeah, you found out that, like, yeah, pretty much everybody who was in town previously just suddenly died. Billy and Jane included.
And there's markings that have appeared in our minds.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. You all know some kind of strange ritual, it feels like, each of you, although the what the word ritual may summon in your mind may or may not apply to what all of you have stumbled upon. Like, you know, it doesn't always involve a ritual circle and some kind of long process. Some of them are things you can complete in under a second, like very quick actions, but they are somehow sacred, somehow occult, somehow unnatural. You're not sure. That's actually a good point. I should let you all know how long these things take. I have written down how much resources they take from you, which you guys don't know. But I should let you all know. Hallow found it's somehow lodged in his mind a ritual called Obscure Memory. You're not quite sure. I mean, it kind of sounds like it does what it says on the tin, but you know, you don't know exactly what the limits of that are or how it works. You'll have to, you know, experiment with it. What could go wrong? That one is one of the nearly instantaneous ones. You can just do that as an action, basically. I believe the other one that can be done as an action is Hematites, which is a little farther back in the book here. Yes. Just an action, although you have a feeling, yours is the Elder Sign. You have a feeling that while you could just trace it in the air and have some kind of effect, it's a symbol, so you could also write it on things, and of course that will take longer to write it on things, and it will have some kind of effect by being written on things.
Lovely.
Hunter, you got Exaltation of the Flesh. Which takes about a minute to complete the ritual. So it has to be done before combat if you're doing it, you know, before we run into initiative. And High Tide, you got Healing Balm, which takes a handful of seconds, more than you could complete in a single turn, but maybe about a minute, maybe a little less, somewhere in that order. So just handing out those details there.
I think it's a damaging spell.
Probably. It does have balm.
If you use it on a dead thing, it's like a healing spell in Final Fantasy against an undead, right? Like it does damage.
Makes sense to me.
Throw your mega elixir things. Anyhow.
So yeah, you guys are all at the hospital. You're just walking out in your fresh wardrobes, trying to decide if you're going to contact Delta Green, how you're going to contact Delta Green. You don't really have anybody's number for that. The plan would be essentially to organize some kind of dead drop and wait, right? You wait for Grace to pick up on it. Your normal communication methods are generally pretty slow until you get into an operation, and then some sort of temporary fast communication channel is opened. So if you do want to contact Delta Green, it's going to be slow, and we might get into home scenes here. But if you all want to, do some more investigating on what the fuck happened recently and start chasing some leads here before we go into home scenes, that's also a possibility.
Did we haven't received any information about what Scott Adams may or may not have gotten up to in the time we've been gone, right? Like, we didn't.
We found his computer, and some of his notes never got entered that we knew about from before.
You're right.
Yeah.
Everything past the day we went missing.
Has he been updating his website or active on news groups at all?
Pretty sure he's dead.
I don't think you have technically found his body, but the assumption right now is just that he's dead.
Okay.
I will give you that as just free information. If anyone has checked any of his blogs and stuff, you can clearly see that he has not updated anything since that day either. You found his computers and stuff just abandoned in his room, with the exact day you guys disappeared as the day that like it just all the notes stopped.
Hmm.
Yeah, it didn't
I
have the
think there's
weird.
one place in town that we never actually went to that was suspicious to us in our earlier investigation. That was Merle's auto body, where Billy went missing the first time, right?
Sure.
So maybe we could swing by there at least.
Sounds
See if
good.
there's any remnant of anything, because that, yeah.
Do you
Just
think we should get back, though? We've been missing for a month. This is going to be a huge hassle to handle. And I think we should really get in contact with Delta Green.
you're right. Uh, you're right. Oh, we should.
Hopefully my store hasn't closed in the meantime.
I have no idea how I'm going to explain this one.
Fortunately, I can just say I needed an impromptu wellness retreat or something.
So are you headed back to Dorchester to check out some other locations then, or what's? I will remind you, if you do want to contact Delta Green, you can start that process, but it's the kind of thing that could take weeks to get a turnaround on. It's not like a
Yeah,
a
so we can
quick
start
thing.
that and then check out Merle's.
All right, so who is going to open the communication? Are all of you going to make your own separate dead drops, or are you going to all pile
Hunter
together?
thinks that just one of us should do it, and then we meet up when the time comes.
Yeah, weren't we team like Delta H or something? Or what was our team?
Yeah,
Delta
you were part
H?
of H cell.
H cell.
Delta Green is organized into cells that are assigned letters. Um, everybody in a cell can know a little bit about the other people in the cell, and then generally you might know some things about like one other cell above you or below you just to get in contact with people by their code names only, that kind of thing. No fast communication lines, only slow methods of communication, like dead drops.
Yeah, I think since we're a cell, only one person should contact.
We use her dead drop, and then I don't know if there's extra risk with this, but you know that warehouse where she got some unnatural skill?
Yeah, the green box.
Yeah, I think she would trigger a pickup at the green box as well, and leave a pretty base level encoded summary of what's going on and a request to meet with Grace.
Okay. So yeah, the green boxes, I think we described it before as there are a number of them around the place, all scattered all across the country, you can assume, but you only know about the one assigned to your cell, essentially. And it's just one of the units in a big storage unit place. And, you know, this person who runs the storage unit place just gets paid to keep that spot open in cash by somebody who comes by. Like, different agents come through to just pay it off, and they just don't ask questions, and, you know, it's whatever. There's no trails for it, one way or another. So you go there and you can leave stuff in there, but I think the normal method of communication for a green box is still essentially through the normal chain of command for Delta Green, like the normal.
Okay.
There's no like special green box communication. There's just like the normal method, and you might tell somebody, hey, there's something in the green box that needs to be moved, and then it gets on the scale of weeks processed around, and yeah.
All
or
right. So then
escalated if it needs to. Yeah.
Hematite would just use her normal drop-off point then.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Delta Green is a very secretive organization. They have done their best to prevent any kind of fast communication methods, so that if an agent gets compromised, there's like, you know, a ticking timer that other agents can step in to intervene and change things, get out of the way, whatever needs to be done to prevent the impact of that agent being compromised from spreading through the network. It's intentionally very slow and very indirect, which is why you only know Grace, pretty much. But okay, so who's making the
just
drop?
put 2 and 2 to get.
Yes.
Hematite would if nobody else
Go
would
for it.
offer. Joanna just realized Grace is probably a member of G Cell, which would be the cell above us.
Indeed.
I don't know why it took me that long to put it together, but I had that revelation today.
I
I
will
also
just,
learned this
It's not a
today years
pyramid, it's a
old.
triangle.
Oh my
I
god.
was gonna make you guys U cell just because ultraviolet, but then Grace was the assigned handler to your first mission, so now Grace would just make you H cell because that's what makes sense.
It is very funny that she is G and we are all H. It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, that's how it works. Each cell makes a letter beneath them if that letter already exists. There could be other H cells out there, and you would have no idea just because there could be other G cells out there as well. Each cell only knows about the cells above them, beneath them. You have no idea if they're duplicates or if this is a tree or a linked chain or what. Like I said, this organization doesn't tell you much.
I mean, you could have made her name Terry.
Could have made what? Her name. Oh yeah, I mean too. I could have changed her name, but I kind of liked Grace as a handler name and a code name. It's good. Anyways, who's making? So Hematite's making the drop. What are you saying in the drop? Are you just giving a big overview? Is it like? I think these drops tend to be more like, if there's an emergency, you might want to put notes in the drop for like, we need to make this an operation right now, get people on this immediately, that kind of stuff. But usually it's more like a drop to then schedule a meeting, and then you do all of your conversation in person securely so that stuff doesn't get transmitted or stolen or whatever.
What Hematite would draft this with the others, but it would probably say something along the lines of a link between current mission and previous. Got a visit from the crazy uncle. Need to talk ASAP.
I think just as one note in there, you might want to say opera instead of mission.
Okay.
That's their code name for an operation isn't opera, because somebody might just think you're going to the opera.
Okay.
A small note.
Yeah. So, realized previous opera night had some tie-ins with our most recent trip, and had a unexpectedly long stay with our eccentric older uncle. Would love to catch up as soon as possible.
That's smooth.
Nice.
Good to me. So, hearing no other suggestions or dissenting opinions, you leave that, and you'll get contacted eventually.
Yeah. Hematite
No, we wait.
doesn't want to go back to Dorchester as a group. If we want to take individual trips back, maybe, but going into a dead town seems like a sure way to put a flag on me. Like, look at me, I'm poking into the strange stuff.
Yeah, with this, it's probably Hal is also starting to think that, probably best to just get back to things, especially after making the drop.
Yeah, and I'll throw out there as well that if we do want to just go into home scenes, one of the home scenes is stay on the case. You could take as one of your options, and so if anyone wants to go back to Dorchester in the future or chase down another lead or whatever, it could be handled as a home scene instead. If you guys aren't all doing it as a group.
Okay. So I guess, yeah, home scenes. What do we do for the skills we failed?
You can definitely go ahead and do that as the start of home scenes. Just so there should be just like an improvement button you can click somewhere. That'll just do all the rolls, I believe,
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
and check all the boxes. Nice. I see a few 4s in there. Very good.
Goodness, do I have no skill improvements that need to be done?
Have you been checking them off?
Well, I thought I
Ooh.
was, but I literally have none of them.
It's possible you've relied on just a few skills.
Yeah. Well, I know I used drive and firearms. I don't think I used like anything else.
Did you miss a shot with firearms?
Definitely did. That's why I died. I don't think I.
So it should be
I don't think I
checked
would have
then.
marked
Yeah.
with drive.
Yeah. That sounds good to me. Firearms
Alright.
and drive makes sense.
I don't think
Yeah.
I failed any drive, so it probably wouldn't have been marked up.
That's fair.
I'd failed a
Firearms,
lot
though.
of skills.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a lot of improvements.
100%.
Yeah, I was using a lot of skills that had like a 10%.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that'll do it.
Hell yeah. Got to use them to improve them. All right, so that's first step of our home scenes here. Other than that, I'll let everybody pick 2 home scenes again, like last time. Which again is more than the book would usually give you, but I think based on the pacing of this campaign, I think that does make sense. In multiple ways. So you guys have been through a lot. I mean, that was essentially not just an opera, but like you had to repeat sections of it, and it kind of was like 3 operas in a row. So
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
it was pretty brutal. But yeah, feel free to look over. I think I have a list of home scenes in the info channel if anyone wants to look them over. We could talk about it. There's the home scene section of my notes.
Yeah, it's also in the Ultraviolet info channel.
Mm.
Yes.
I also did pretty good at spreading out my bond damage, so I will need to deal with those.
Yes. That's
Yeah, I
another
think I'm
point.
gonna be doing a couple fulfill responsibilities here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do fulfill responsibilities also.
What happens when a bond goes to 0?
Bad things. They are no longer a bond of yours. You cross them off of your sheet. You don't erase them, which doesn't matter on Foundry anyways, but it will not remove it from your sheet. It will stay on your sheet as a reminder that you lost that person. And then they are no longer a valid bond. We probably have a big dramatic scene as they leave your life for one reason or another. Whether that's, you did something that is just they're not going to forgive you for it or whatever. Like we can come up with a situation for each bond if that were to happen to them, but it generally doesn't mean like death or anything. That's different. It's just like they are no longer dealing with you, no longer speaking with you, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if they died from some brain
that would
thing.
be different. That would be funny. Projecting onto your bonds is less about like actually transmitting your unnatural experiences to them and more like you are compartmentalizing the stress you're taking in the moment and then kind of unleashing it on the people around you. Is kind of what that represents. Like bottling up things and then dealing with them with your bonds, kind of letting your real life slip because you're focusing too much on work, that kind of stuff.
Are you able to double up?
Double up what?
Like, can you do 2 fulfill responsibilities to get 2
yeah.
bonds hopefully
That's
back
fine with
up?
me.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing.
No reason not to.
Because my sanity's fine.
Hmm.
At least better than it has been.
That is good. Yeah, I gave you all that deal because we really weren't using the bonds too much, and might as well. Who wants to go first? Anybody already have an idea of what they'd like to
Um, yeah. So I think Hallow can take the lead for this one. So all of our bonds took a lot of damage at the end of that because we were gone for so long without any warning. And I think Hallow's story that he's going to go with is that, because, well, starting with Ashley, his partner at the FBI. Right, because A, that's super important. He's been gone from work for so long. I'm pretty sure that this timeline happened in a case where she knew that he was off doing some case because they had some FBI credentials happen to them as part of the Delta Green operation. But
Sort of.
Right? Like,
So
we
I
got
will
some
say,
credentials earlier, and something got verified with the FBI.
yes, I think that was a previous timeline. Unless
Okay.
that happened in this timeline as well. But the very first,
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure about. Was
I'm
that in this
pretty
timeline?
sure.
That happened before we arrived at Dorchester.
Yeah. So here's my recollection, and definitely challenge me on this if it doesn't sound accurate to anyone else. But first, like version of events, you guys arrived at Dorchester pretty late because Billy was already killing people, and that's when the FBI was involved because they were trying to track down Billy, and that's how they got you on the case, was tracking down Billy, capturing him, all of that stuff. That's when they got you a bunch of credentials. Then you went to the FBI when you woke up even farther back in time before Billy even got kidnapped. The FBI wasn't involved at all back then. You went to the FBI and just said, "Hey, can we get something set up for this?" And they're like, I don't know. We can try to rush something, I guess." But they didn't really have great resources because you were early.
That's right. They had some level of knowledge or something, like they weren't expecting us to show up to them.
Right.
I think they said they were kind of keeping tabs on it, but nothing serious.
Yeah, nothing big had happened
Yeah.
yet, but they had been keeping tabs.
They had been keeping tabs because there was a lot of missing persons cases there, but the people would like return within a day usually. Just about like people were reported missing, then would return like a day later. And it was just like the frequency of that happening in that one small town that was concerning them and had sort of gotten their attention. But yeah. But they hadn't taken much action yet. So I don't know if you would have had like FBI credentials for this one. I don't think that happened this time because of how quickly it all happened. Or if they did get you FBI stuff, it was all fake and it wasn't like an on the records operation or anything like that. It was just get things out there quickly, move faster than the bureaucracy can, kind of deal.
Okay.
Right,
Then
because our contact was a Delta Green friendly, not an FBI guy, right?
He was both. He was an FBI agent who was a friendly, not an agent. Yeah.
all right. Well, okay.
Maybe you were assumed dead?
You could. I mean, I feel like it's probably a possibility that you maybe were assigned to a case and you're just not allowed to talk about it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. He'll say that, yeah, he was assigned to a case. Yeah, I got something for this. A case that he wasn't allowed to talk about, and as part of it, he witnessed some shit and really can't talk about it.
Hmm. All right. Yeah, let's role play that out a little bit of like when you actually just show back up to work one day. I don't know, or like would you have contacted? It's Alex, right? Was that the Ashley? Ashley.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd go home, clean himself up, get ready for work. He's adapted to violence. He can just go back to work like nothing happened, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's also, part of himself is aware that that's kind of wrong, but he's still just doing it.
Mm.
And I think that's part of what's going to affect this coming in. But yeah, he walks in, he badges in, sits down at his desk.
Ashley's at a nearby desk as your partner sees you walk in casually and just like stares at you wide-eyed, does not catch your gaze for some reason, and just like looks around at everyone else like, is he being serious right now? He's not even gonna. Okay, fine. And heads over. I think punches you on the shoulder as you sit down. Hey, where were you? You're okay? You're alive?
That's wow, that's a question. I can't talk about a lot. The conference room.
Yep. Okay.
So just grab a room to get a little bit, to not be sitting out in the middle of everywhere, right?
Yeah. Pull the blinds down, like all dramatic.
Yeah.
What is going on?
He pours himself a coffee. Right. So a month ago, I got put on this weird case in the middle of nowhere. It seems like something. You remember the stories I told you about when I was a kid? It seemed something like that.
Okay.
Uh,
They're putting you on cases without me now?
I trust me, I wanted to bring you in on it, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm not the same, and I'm still here.
Did you say that she just looks you in the eyes for a minute, just like really trying to gauge you? Yeah. Okay. I understand. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thanks. He holds his arms out for a kind of hug, just kind of like needing some contact.
I think she will hug you. Yeah, in this moment, she's realizing that you've been through some shit.
All right. That's the sanity test, right? For the
yes, yeah, sanity test. For that.
Great.
Oh, you succeeded on it. So you can improve that bond. 5. Wow. Okay.
Yay.
Yay.
Big improvers.
Woo!
Big bonus. Up to
Max,
your
you can
charisma. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is 14, so you still have room. So that's fine. Not a critical success, so you don't add the extra sanity and stuff, but yeah. You're patching things up. It's going okay. Cool. I think we'll fade out from that scene. Anyone else have a scene they want to tackle?
I would like to visit my Vietnam vet uncle, who our bond is currently at a 3.
All right. Your Vietnam vet uncle.
Yeah, let's see. Do you have the note that I wrote for him for that? I can send that to you.
Did I write it down somewhere? It's definitely in our DM somewhere, but yeah, resending it would help. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, where is he at the moment? Is he like old enough that he's in a nursing home somewhere and being taken care of there, or is he still like with family somewhere, or is he young enough that he doesn't need that kind of care? Like, what's the deal?
I was picturing him as on the younger side, like maybe even he was crazy enough to be overeager and lied about his age to get in.
Hmm.
So he's, I guess he might have been, gosh, in like his late 40s maybe at this time. I'm trying to do the math and it's not working at this time of night.
That's okay. That sounds good. So he's not like that old. Okay, cool.
No.
So yeah, I keep forgetting this is in the 90s, so that actually wasn't. Yeah, okay. I was picturing like, yes, okay, yeah, Vietnam vet, right? So fairly on the older side, but no, this is 20 years ago, more than. Okay, so yeah, we'll say he's around then. So does he like live with family somewhere? You said he's like missing a foot. He's probably not super
Yeah.
mobile.
I think he probably got married and lives with his wife, but they're probably a little out of the way.
Okay.
It's probably similar to my character kind of living sort of on his own, away from, they probably neither of them really cared much for the rest of the family, and that's probably a kind of a thing that they've had in common.
Okay. Sounds good. So he lives out somewhere with his wife, just a kind of a rural place out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe out in the woods somewhere. Not like he's on a farm necessarily, but cool. So you approach this place in the woods. Are you just visiting for like just a normal like family visit, or are you just going there randomly, or like what's the vibe of the visit?
I think probably would have called him
Mhm.
and then realized that I didn't really know what to say on the phone. And maybe he kind of got that and he invited me over. And
Okay.
so I just kind of drove over. I probably
So
picked up a 6-pack of beer. It's probably warm by now.
yeah. So I think yeah, he picks up on that, but he invites you over, but I kind of imagine he is not a man of too many words like Rowan is. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting, especially with how you say he left something, harder to define behind. Um, so he invites you over and maybe gets you some coffee, and then realizes you brought beer and cracks open the beer instead, and you put the coffee aside. And you both just sit on the porch for a while, just kind of in silence.
Yeah.
And then eventually he breaks the silence, maybe like halfway through his beer. Says, "Well, so Rowan, I could tell on the phone you it's something you need to get off your chest. What's going on, man?"
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of don't know what to say on the phone anymore. Like, I got into some government work. I never really thought that I'd ever do that, but it's not like
Military?
what you did. No,
Oh,
not really. Sort of. It's, I don't know. It seems like everything's changing. There's all these new things they're doing, and it's one of those things I'm not supposed to talk about, but it's not the kind of thing that I'd ever thought would be real. But they're looking into stuff that's, it's real threats, but it'd make regular people think you were crazy if you described it. But it, I don't know. It made me wonder if when you were overseas, what kind of stuff you'd seen and felt, and I don't know, did, I guess, like, made me wonder. I'm not asking. I'm not trying to dig into stuff you don't want to talk about. I get now there's stuff that, maybe you really should never talk about, but made me wonder how much stuff you've had inside you all these years that you, I don't know, wish that you could have talked to somebody else about. And if that's the case, I'm sorry that I never knew how to ask about it, or was never able to be somebody who you could talk about it with. I guess one thing we probably have in common is know what it's like to shoot at a person. Although I think that's all I can say about it.
So while you've been talking, he has put down his beer. And he's just been staring at you, and then when you finish talking, and like there's a few seconds of silence, he swallows hard and then inhales and just reaches out and puts a hand on your shoulder, pats it a couple times.
Rowan blinks back tears that are some of the first emotion that he's felt probably since waking up again. And he looks away. He doesn't want to make it look like he's crying. So he's like, I'll get you another beer. He just gets up and he goes inside. And by the time he comes back, he's wiped away the tears.
Like you come back outside, and your uncle is toying with his replaced hand. He's just like looking at it and pulling on pieces of it and stuff like that. You sit back down and he takes the beer from you.
Does it get easier as time goes on?
It fades. Never goes away. But
is there anything you can give me in way of advice on how to help that fading?
Make new memories. Replace the old.
Well, I guess I'll have to remember that. Thank you.
You like barbecue?
Yeah, I remember barbecues we used to do growing up. I was a lot younger. I kind of hated it, but I kind of miss it now. Everything just annoyed me, but it feels just stupid looking back on it to feel like that. And now, so many of the people who used to come over, they're all gone, and I kind of wish we could do it again.
Let's have some barbecues. Let's start making it a regular thing.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Kind of purses his lips together and then nods and then looks out off the porch and keeps drinking his beer. I think that's when we fade up from that scene as well. Go ahead and make that sanity roll. I assume this was trying to repair that bond.
Yes.
Let's see if you succeed. Nice. Okay, so roll a d6, and you can repair that bond up to your charisma modifier as a cap, but it looks like...
Oh, no.
No! That sucks. Well,
well.
Point of repair. It's something, at least.
Yes.
You are now only 25% likely to never talk to your uncle again if you ever project onto him.
Honestly, that's a pretty big improvement.
It was a 33% chance before, or no, it was a 50% chance before that you would just never talk to your uncle again
No.
if you project that onto him. So, hey, that's a double improvement right there. Okay, anyone else have an idea for a scene here?
I think Hematite would go back and check in with Althea, her partner. Another fulfilled. Well, Actually, we will postpone that for the second one, and she will go back to nature first. Send
Okay.
Althea and her store owner like a text, like, "Hey, I'm back on the grid for a moment. Or not a text, it's the 90s. Basically leave a
pager code.
voicemail.
Okay.
Leave a voicemail like, "Hi, I'm back on the grid for a moment. I am alive. Sorry about disappearing. Can't promise it won't happen again. I'm gonna go off to the woods to recover and then I'll come back."
I think you could text in the 90s. I don't know. I don't know if it was common, but I imagine email is still more common at least. But
Palm Pilots were a thing. Blackberries were definitely a thing in the later 90s. Was it 98?
SMS was developed in the 80s, so
yeah,
it
I
would have
think
been
pagers
possible.
were common. Yeah, I think pagers were common in the 80s, and maybe text was around later. But yeah, so you can get some kind of communication or leave a voicemail. That works, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. So, so you're going back to nature. Are you just dropping this communication and then just silencing, like turning off your phone, not doing any communication? Just
Yeah, I'd give them a timeline for when I'm back. Like, hey, I'll be back in 2 weeks. So you know to expect me. I'm okay. I'm alive. I'll tell you all about it when I get back.
I like to think there's a moment here because this bond was marked as damaged, right? That means there's some kind of scene that happens here that is part of that bond being damaged, and I think that here is you don't realize to silence your or shut off your device at first. So you get a call through like almost immediately, and you just have to look at it for a moment before deciding turn it off, head out into nature, and just calm down. Okay, though. So back to nature. You reduce one bond by one.
I'm going to reduce the college best friend bond by one and say in doing this, she completely misses the yearly get together with her friend group.
All right.
No warning, she just like ghosts all of her friends and misses the friend family reunion.
All right. So go ahead and give me that sand test, and we will see if you recover some sanity. Fortunate. Failure, you add 1 sanity.
Okay. Yeah, I opted to keep the low sanity because I thought about projecting most times. I just decided not to.
Yeah, that's also fair. Well, you traded 1 bond score for 1 sanity. All is balanced.
Was I the only one who took the massive hit to all of my bonds for big sanity gain?
No.
I think Hematite was the only one.
I did also.
Oh, okay.
So Hematite is now the most insane among you, I believe.
Well, the most likely to go insane.
Yeah, true.
She's not doing too much better.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's the sanity target scores. Wow.
How was yours 68?
Because I took that massive hit to all of our scores. Like I took all of my bonds were basically at max. So I got to regain 21, and I was already in the 40s from just being good.
You have high charisma, your bonds all start really high. So then half of all the bonds is quite a lump.
Because my charisma is 14. So I just took a hit, but I'm not likely to hit my breaking point. I can see a lot of shit before I do that.
Yeah. Charisma is kind of the other sanity defense stat. Like POW obviously directly affects your sanity, but charisma is like the other mind defense stat because of bonds. And then, the other stats like strength, constitution, and dexterity are more about keeping your body alive, and then intelligence is more about figuring things out. Yeah, so if you start with high power and high charisma, you're gonna be pretty good on sanity. for a while.
And I think
Um,
my chosen career started me off with 4 bonds.
Yeah.
So, and then I got 3 trauma bonds. So they're all in the 5 to 7 range, but points
That's pretty
wise,
good.
but I have a lot of them.
Yeah, the careers, I believe some get more bonds but fewer skills, and then the opposite. So the ones that have fewer bonds have more skill points distributed basically at the start.
I essentially traded having usable bonds for being good with a gun.
Yes.
That works sometimes.
It does sometimes. It's nice to have at least one person who will usually hit things with a big gun in this game. Even if very often things are not going to care that you hit them with a big gun.
Yeah, every Delta Green squad needs the one big guy with a gun. It's very important. You never know what threats you can shoot.
It's
All of
important
them.
to try.
It's important to try. Yes, exactly. Anyone else have a home scene they want to get through? Any ideas?
Yeah, so an obvious one for me, right when I get home, my fiance.
Yeah,
Forgot
so you
there
just
was a
show
That
up.
does seem like it would be important.
Did you miss the wedding?
I was thinking like an anniversary, like 5.5 years or something.
You didn't leave her at the
Um,
altar for Cthulhu.
Okay, so do you just show up back to your house unannounced?
Yeah.
Okay. uh I think you open the door and head inside, and it is silent inside. But you can see that your fiance's car is in the drive.
I think I would timidly say, "Hey, I know it's been a while, but I'm back. I'm safe."
She peeks around the corner down a hall from the kitchen towards the front door, and you can see that she has a plate in one hand and a knife in the other. And upon hearing your voice, she has turned around that corner, eyes wide. You hear the plate drop and shatter on the ground, and then she just like falls to her knees with the knife out, and fortunately doesn't hit herself with it, but just kind of like starts like sobbing on the floor with a knife still in her hands, like not bothering to drop it. Very clearly confused and shocked, like probably thought you were dead.
Yeah, I would. Is there? So I did get hit by lightning, and my like knee is very messed up. Is there any like visual scarring?
Um, I'll leave that up to you. I would say if you took a charisma hit, definitely, but you didn't, right? You took strength or dexterity or something.
Yeah, I took strength.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can opt into having some visible scars if you want. If you would have taken a charisma hit, it might have been like a wound on your face or something like that, right? But no, not for this
Mm.
one.
All right, yeah, I guess I wouldn't then, but I kind of would limp up to her and just kind of sit on the ground with her and say, "I know I haven't been in contact, and I'm really sorry. We both knew that I have been in a dangerous profession, and I
I thought you
had
died.
something. Yeah, I have not been able to contact. I've been being held by some entity that I can't talk about, but I got released now and I'm alive."
And you just back just like that? Why
Yeah,
didn't they tell me anything?
I don't know. I haven't talked to my boss. I'm not sure why they didn't contact you.
I have an idea here. Go ahead and roll me that sanity test now, and we'll use this as a way to tell if this if your words are helping comfort her or not, basically.
Nope.
I guess not.
That excuse was, yeah.
Yep,
I was being
that
held
excuse is not
prisoner, but
great.
it's okay now.
Yeah, exactly. So she's just like, "What? They had to have no, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make it. She kind of gets up and like has her hands on her head, like pacing around the kitchen, and the knife is just like along her head because she has the knife in her hand still. She's pacing around and she starts to wave her arms around wildly as she's trying to talk to you. Like, what do you mean they didn't tell me anything? You were a prisoner for a month and they didn't tell me anything, and you couldn't. Are you okay?
I'm a little hurt, but overall I'm good. I've seen a lot of stuff, but
Realizes
I'm
the knife is in her
helping.
hand and just tosses it onto the counter.
And I know I missed our anniversary, but let's say tomorrow it is your day and we'll get all fancy, we'll go out to dinner and maybe go catch a movie and get some ice cream and hang out at home.
You're scaring me. How are you gone? You a prisoner for a month and now you're just casual.
Hmm. I don't know. The
I
things that
almost.
they
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna like bring the helplessness into it and just be like, I mean, the things that I've seen, it just kind of you lose feeling, you know?
Oh no, no. I think she does hug you and just starts crying into your shoulder, but I think we, the audience, see from the camera, like the camera's perspective, over your shoulder. She is crying into your shoulder, but she's also just like looking off to the side, like clearly extremely worried still. And like you haven't really comforted her. She's just like obviously glad you're alive, but what the fuck? This is extremely confusing. Why are you not freaking out about this? Right? Like, um, and I think we'll fade up
And
from that scene. Oh, sorry.
I
Go ahead.
think that's kind of exactly how I would react to the situation, just like, shit happens.
Yeah, right. That makes sense for High Tide. He's like he doesn't care about anything that's not unnatural, basically. Um, so cool. So you can add 1 to that bond score on a failure.
It's not doing too hot.
I guess not.
It's at a
Okay, so
7.
that's the first round of home scenes for everybody, right?
Yes.
Everybody had 1. Okay. So I think you all met up with people or went out to nature or whatever. And then like that initial week or so passed and Grace does get in contact with you again. You all receive like some kind of envelope that has a meeting location or whatever. It responds in very similar language, right? Like you're invited to a night at the opera at this location, whatever. Um, we'll say it is a park in a central like town, kind of in between where all of you live, so that like everybody can easily get to it. Um, and she is waiting on a park bench when you all arrive.
Well, hiya. You want to
Sit
get a
at the
taco?
bench.
There's a truck over there.
Well, no, you should sit on the other side of the bench and don't make eye contact. We can speak like
Oh,
this.
no, that's fine.
Are we all here?
This is
I
really
think
not
so.
inconspicuous with
It's
all of us sitting on
it
one
is
I
side
gonna
of
think
the
be really
bench
weird if
talking and
like
you
the
sitting
stand
on the other
user could be
side.
anybody.
no, it's
Like
one
I
double-sided
think you're
bench.
it's just, I think you're making this more into whatever. It's
It'll be fine. Please sit down. You can tell she's very tense. I'll give that to you without a roll.
All right, Hunter will sit down on the opposite bench.
I will as well.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, just following along.
All right, agents, give your report.
How much time do you have?
We should keep it
How
somewhat
much-
brief, but condense as much detail as you can.
So you are aware of the opera that we got tickets to without your, you know what I mean, that opera. That wasn't the first time we had interacted with it. The first time you had told us about it. Right? You know, up to that point?
The first opera, I mean, are you talking
The
about
the
like,
the most recent opera, the one we just did. Making reference to the fact that they kind of initiated this mission this time.
Yes, very unusual behavior.
So,
We usually find things and send them down to you.
and that's how it happened the first time. But this time, and apparently, so we went through it a few times. Just like when we initiated it on our own after either dying or losing consciousness all at the same time and hearing voices saying about an experiment failing, we'd find ourselves waking up in the past again, except more recently. We did accomplish the goal initially of saving or preventing that kid from getting kidnapped. What we didn't realize was that the actors from the first opera were involved in this one too. We prevented him from getting kidnapped. Then we went back the next day to investigate further where he was going to get kidnapped from. In there, we found more of the same actors inside of the barn.
Did you find a
We
bioweapon in
attempted.
there?
Can you just? We did find a strange child that, for all intents and purposes, this you might have known about this one. This made its way, at least, into part of the report. This happened in this timeline. The weird kid that seems dead.
With the glass bottle.
The bottle that I saw at the opera that nobody else did. The one that
We
had
did
that inside.
hear-
Is that what you're?
We did hear word of this. We also heard that the problem was taken care of for us by a strange bioweapon. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that?
We were out of the picture before that happened. Crazy
Right
uncle
before that.
decided to take us into custody.
Crazy uncle, huh?
Mm-hmm. I believe you mentioned him last time.
I did.
Met some of the cousins at our last opera. Things didn't go so well. Or our first opera.
Let me ask this very clearly. Are any of you experiencing anything out of the ordinary?
We've been experiencing out of the ordinary for the last month.
Are you experiencing anything out of the ordinary personally?
What do you mean? You're gonna have to be more specific.
Does a group time loop count?
Absolutely.
Then yes.
That's what that's what I'm referring to. So
We have
the first time it happened in town,
shared we have the four of our unit has shared a time loop, which is how we knew to kickstart the mission.
This was happened to H group last time too. Or she would have said H cell. That's my fault. This is what happened to H cell last time too.
aren't we H cell, or was this a different H cell?
I should inform you all that there are scopes trained on each of you at the moment. I would like you all to cooperate, please.
What
Everybody
could
give
you do
me-
to us that hasn't already happened?
Yeah, everybody give me a roll for sanity if you are not adapted to helplessness.
My sheet. Hang on.
All right, 1 point of sanity loss on a failure. This is helplessness.
I am now adapted to helplessness.
Let's go. The goal of every Delta Green campaign is to just turn your player characters into psychopaths. Just how it
Yep.
goes.
I'm figuring that out.
Even with your fiance.
I'm sorry, agents. We should have caught this sooner. We should have taken proper precautions. We can't simply let you out and about without verifying first.
Verifying what?
That you're not compromised.
Compromised by what?
That's what we're going to find out.
Great.
Don't worry. Everybody in the park today is a plant. We can speak openly.
So why are you making a big deal about the... Oh, whatever, park bench.
To make the scopes
Okay.
easier to aim.
So what's this? What's gonna happen then? Are you gonna help us? You gonna stop all this stuff from happening? You think you can do that? Sure, it'd have been easier if we'd been able to, just I don't know, get some advice as to what was happening earlier. This whole thing seems just like really badly organized.
Yes.
Like,
I
is this just
apologize.
gonna keep happening in the future?
And if you kill us now, how are we guaranteed to not wake up this morning or an hour ago?
Yeah,
That
how
is
do you know that
worrying
we didn't
talk,
plan all
Agent.
this? How do you know that we don't have some plan for all the scopes you have trained on us?
Normal
This
people.
isn't the first time, or the second time, or the third time, I think, probably, that we've died and then gotten back up and kept on trying to do the mission that you gave us because we're trying to help the people and get to the bottom of all this. And it's just more and more frustrating, and it's just so hard to find the information. And this just would have been so much easier if we'd been able to get more help from the beginning.
I agree. You can thank our crazy uncle for that. We're not in a good situation right now, agents. I apologize for that. We were unable to get you the resources you needed, but you're all talking in a way that is extremely worrying.
Well, I feel worried. Well, not worried. I feel worrying, I guess.
Also, Crazy Uncle's keeping tabs and probably doesn't want us talking too much.
We can handle it. They probably expect this, to be honest. I would be surprised if
Well-
they didn't think this was going to happen.
We were unconscious in their custody for a month.
At least that's what they told us. The
This is
last thing we
exactly-
remember, the last thing we did was burn down the barn where the actors were inhabiting. We got most of what was in there, but one of the creatures from the first opera escaped.
Well, escaped is a loose term. It killed
Well,
all of
maybe.
us.
Considering that crazy uncle's involved, we don't know what they did.
Yeah, how do we? Apparently they were watching us the whole time. How do we know they didn't kill it after it knocked us all unconscious or killed
I kind
us?
of feel they would have had to, considering that we didn't die. Because if we had died, we would have just woken up earlier, right? So the fact that we were just, all went unconscious because of our wounds and everything, means that they must have killed the last thing there. So that means crazy uncle must have been either directly or indirectly responsible for the bioweapon thing happening.
Crazy
Can-
uncle is crazy because they do deals with the agents or the actors.
Yeah, I think I caught a whiff of that.
Can I say that I copied selected portions from my journal into a slightly easier to understand code and notebook and handed over as a mission report?
Flashback. You pay 3 stress for that. No. Ooh, that's tricky.
Bring it and I don't want to give her my whole journal. I'm paranoid.
I mean, you absolutely. I'll let you do it here. But yeah, I'll let you do it here. So you just hand over a notebook with stuff in it.
Things were getting interesting in terms of time. I compiled a mission report for your eyes only.
I can think of one thing that might match the description of a bioweapon that we did see during one of the loops. There was a reporter in that town. When we first found him, the first time we found him, he was dead already. And he had this silver goopy thing on his head. We killed it, we
Listen,
burned it.
agents, I think we may have had a miscommunication somewhere along the line here.
I think we've had nothing but miscommunications.
You've been pretty opaque in your communications.
As should you, to be frank. She takes the book that you've handed.
You just
her
said we
and
could
just...
talk freely.
Yes, freely. Well, in a manner of speaking, she takes the notebook you hand her, Hematite, and takes it with pinched fingers and gently sets it down on the bench next to her. We do not take records of the unnatural things we see. We do not tell our fellow agents about the unnatural things we see. We obscure and hide the threat. We make sure it does not spread and that mimetic viruses do not continue to propagate. You do not threaten your fellow agents with extra information they do not need to know. You take care of the threat, you report that the threat has been dealt with, and we move on. I'm sorry, agents, but we need to see just how deep this goes. We need to see how far gone you are. We can't let you be amongst the population. Right now, you all are the target of an operation that is ongoing at the moment.
Okay.
Well,
If you
thanks.
cooperate, this can be an easy operation. We will verify that you are all safe as you say you are, and you can go back to your normal lives. And if you are safe and nothing is wrong, then you have nothing to be worried about. And trust me, this is not...
that the crazy uncle made it so that we can't finish our business and request more supplies, and while also conveying the scope and magnitude of the danger.
The scope and magnitude of the danger was great. We lost an entire town. That is not the point here. The scope and danger of you all existing with the knowledge you do and continuing to potentially spread it is an entire other problem we need to contain. As I said, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. We'll get to that. And trust me, agents, I do not take pleasure in this. This is not a fun part of the job. And if you get through this, someday you will see that from your side of things as well. You will have to do this to another squad down the line. It is inevitable. I'm sorry. Here's how you can cooperate. We have 4 vans on corners of this park. Each of you will take a corner, get into the van casually, as if you are just getting in for a ride. We'll take it from there. Am I understood?
Yes.
Yes.
I still think this is bullshit. You put us in this situation in the first place, but yeah.
That's the job. I'm sorry.
After a
I
little
can't do
bit of
this.
silence, I would just say, whatever.
Stands up, pulls out a plastic bag and wraps around that book and seals it and walks away.
I would
To
look
be
at everyone
I
else
did
like,
give
so
her the highly edited version.
Yes. Yeah.
as she's walking away, I would look at everyone else and be like, so this is what they do? They just send people out on missions and clean them up with air quotes.
I think you mean that's what we do. And Hunter's gonna get up and casually walk in one of the indicated directions.
I think the hematite would be upset, but kind of, go with it, see what information she can get.
Yeah. All this complying. He's just pissed.
Does anyone resist? High Tide?
Nah,
All right. So you all get into the vans, and we, the audience, see the vans close up. We see through the windows of each of the vans, hoods get pulled over your heads, much like the crazy uncle did, and the screen blacks out.
Offhand remark from Hallow as he gets bagged. He's like, oh, just like the uncle.
Can I get
Just getting that jab in.
One
Gotta
big
compare them.
family.
Can I get a sanity roll from everybody, please?
I am not doing well on those tonight.
Aw.
Ooh. But are.
Everyone failed. In fact, most of you got in the you all got in the 80s and 90s. Not a single roll below 80. That is unfortunate. So what this roll represented was essentially not quite a luck roll, but a roll based on your sanity, not to see if you lose sanity here, but to see like how far gone you come up in their psychological tests on you. And
Oh, that tracks. That
Yeah.
definitely tracks.
Not good.
So you
I
guys
think-
go ahead.
Well, no, it's okay. I can hold on to this for a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, if it's part of this, we're gonna have a bit of a skip ahead here. So if it's part of like a now thing, it's fine to take it. But
So the idea that I have with
yeah,
who Hallow is, and well, I don't know. I am conflicted because I feel like I could get Hallow part out of the situation, but then what happens? Then I'm just on the run.
true.
And I don't know if they take High Tide's flashlight through all of this interrogation, but I feel like that would be a big
Yeah.
contributor to him not cooperating until he got it back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense.
And they like bring him fake ones and he opens them all up and he's like, that's not mine.
Well, so here's the thing: is none of you know what happens
Oh no.
because you all disappear for a month
Again?
again, and you have no memory of the month passing. And then each of you are left in the park where you had that last meeting a month ago. Actually, I think you wake up in those rooms like you did before, not in glass boxes like with the crazy uncle, but in some kind of like hospital room type place. It's like clearly there's just a bed in there. It's not like it's not like it's stocked with all sorts of things all over the place or anything like that. The window is barred, but there is a window. The door out of it is locked, and the window on the door has like metal going across it as well. I don't know if that would technically be barred, but that kind of vibe. Clearly appears to be a fairly sturdy door, and there's like nothing in the room except for just the bed and you. And eventually, someone comes in, tells you you've been asleep for a month, but you're being let go. You can get your things and go, and then much like before, a similar process, but again, not the same. These are different people, but this is much more a situation like you just woke up from a coma. It's not like you are being held by military people. So I guess you don't wake up in the park at all. The park's not involved. They're just like you're being released from the hospital after being in a month-long coma. And so you go through that process, and we're gonna have some more home scenes.
Great.
Well, I am going to do responsibilities things with my partner.
Yes. Before you do, sorry, one thing. Sanity checks from everybody from helplessness real quick. Really gonna push that one. Oh,
F.
69.
What
Not
about
nice.
those of us who are adapted?
If you're adapted, you automatically take a success, basically.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
So I just
Heck
take
yeah.
a success because I'm adapted.
So you take no sanity damage. Those of you who failed, which is just Hollow, takes 1 from helplessness.
I don't happen to regain sanity from being forced to take a long, restful sleep, do I?
No, unfortunately. A
Aw.
critical success on sanity is just you would take the absolute minimum. So some rolls are so crazy. Sorry, that was a lot of crunching
was
noises coming through
crinkle.
the mic there.
Sorry, that was me.
No worries. I just had to pause so my voice could
I was
get through.
putting away my crackers.
I got DDoSed in my ears. Some rolls are so crazy that it might be like a 1d10, 1d4 on a success or whatever, right? That kind of thing. Where like 1d10 on a failure, 1d4 on a success. In those situations, if you critically succeed, you would just take 1, even though it's 1d4. You take the
Which
minimum,
is
basically.
would be a very nice benefit in that situation.
It would, but in this situation where it's 0, 1, you just take 0. That's the lowest possible. So, you just don't lose any sanity. Hallow, does that put you adapted to helplessness?
1 more.
1 more. All right, close though. Yeah. Okay. So back to home scene. Sorry to interrupt.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Of course. So Hematite, you gave people a timeline of when you'd be back, and then disappeared for another month. Although, if they went looking for you this time, they probably would have been able to, like, if they reported missing person again, they probably would have found you in a coma in the hospital this time, not just like disappeared.
So yeah, once I wake up from my coma, I'm going to go home and try and patch things up with my partner.
Okay, so I think your partner would be notified that you had awoken and have come to the hospital, and maybe we're cutting to a scene where you've already gathered your things and they are driving you home, and you just have arrived there, and they just have not spoken to you on the way home.
Althea, I'm really sorry that I went off the grid like this. I wish I could promise it wouldn't happen again, but I'm in some really weird, deep shit. And there's no way out, so the best I can do is try and keep you out.
Yeah, fine, whatever. I already know I'm not going to get anything out of you. It's fine. We don't need to talk about it. It's okay. Let's go inside.
Look, if you want to know some of it, I'll tell you.
What, are you gonna make stuff up, or are you gonna be genuine with me here?
You know how we've always both kind of been into some of the paranormal alien stuff?
Are you gonna tell me you got abducted by aliens? Seriously?
No, I got abducted by the people who do deals with aliens, which is worse.
Go ahead and roll me that sanity chest to see if, if this improves your relationship or not.
Mm,
You can't just pile more lies onto other lies. It's not gonna, it's fine. Like I said, let's not talk about it. Let's just go.
I thought we were interested in this together. You went with me to try and track things. You're the one who encouraged me to start the bookstore.
Yeah.
I'm finally getting proof.
Awesome. Clearly does not believe you. Can you show me this proof?
But then the crazy people would be after you too.
Do you know how many nights I couldn't sleep worrying about you?
I
Do,
wish I'd
do you
done
think
there.
do you think it would make me happier for you to be in danger and not me?
We both knew that negative interactions was an outcome.
Yeah, I thought we'd share it, I guess. I don't know. I'm not in your shoes. I can't speak for you. I understand. This is why I said we don't need to talk about it.
Failing a fulfill responsibility do anything at all or no?
It's 1 point.
Okay.
It at least doesn't subtract any. So I think we'll fade up on that as you guys enter the house, and clearly she does not believe you, and yeah, it's a bit of a tense relationship at the moment. All right, any other home scenes? Everybody else gets one.
I can take one with my childhood friend, my also a culty bookstore owner person.
All right, so this is
So this will be Isolde, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just after getting released, just kind of roll over to her shop. Just kind of walk in the front door.
Whoa, where have you been?
The government is bullshit. You were right. I never should have gone to work for them.
Clearly, it's been months. What happened? Are you okay?
A lot of things happened. The second part is harder to answer. Yes and no. I know. Well, I have trouble sleeping and things now. I am dreading going to talk to Ashley again because when I showed up briefly before I just disappeared for another month, I said I was here, so that's not great. And then and I can't tell you a whole lot, but the government's involved in things, mission related. He's just kind of
Yeah,
starts rambling a little bit, trailing off at the end.
but you're fine now?
I think so.
Okay. You should find work elsewhere.
Yeah,
Like I told
yeah.
you
You
before.
think I could open a PI thing?
That
Get
could work.
a
Still dangerous. At least you wouldn't have someone else as a boss.
yeah. I'd have to. Then I'd have to market myself. Yeah, I've never been good at that.
Oh, don't worry. I'm good at marketing.
Oh, oh yeah. How are you on to be my professional marketer?
Well,
Go after
you'll have
the
to
weird
contact me
cases.
more than every couple months, but yeah.
That's a good point. I'll do better.
Okay, well, we could make that work then. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can convince Ash to come too, because I would feel bad also just completely bailing on that. But I don't know if I want to keep working for the government. I'm sure she'd understand too, but
Go ahead and give me that sanity roll. See if you okay, you do patch things up. Okay. So I like doing it halfway through these conversations so we can figure out how the conversations end.
yeah.
So I was gonna say if you failed it, it was probably gonna be something like some tension there with maybe there's some sort of weird jealousy between her and Ashley or something like that. But I think so when you brought up Ashley would have turned
Yeah.
into something else. But since you succeeded,
Mhm.
this is she's like, yeah, okay, we could work this. This will be better. You'll be you won't have to have a different boss. We'll be working more closely. We'll see each other more often. It'll be great.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. There's still that office space down the road, right?
Yeah,
I've
no
been
one's
trying to
taken
rent
that
that out
yet.
for a long time. I'll look into that.
That could work. That could work.
Well, I'm glad to
Alright,
be
good. Well,
back. And yeah, we'll definitely be in contact more.
good. Okay. Well, hope to be coworkers
And
soon.
yeah,
Go ahead and roll that d6. See how much you patch that one up. Damn. Hallow is just this party's sane person. He just
somehow, man, he's just so holding it
man.
together, despite
If-
having no problems with violence.
If Rowan is the tank, Hallow is the mental tank, I guess.
Yeah, I've only died really once. Both of the other times I was just unconscious.
Who's next for a home scene? Still have High Tide and Hunter, I think.
Yeah, Hunter's just gonna go back to nature at this point. He doesn't want to try to explain himself to people again. He just wants to find a very sunny bit of woods, maybe with a brook. He's gonna go fishing, I think.
Okay. Give me that sanity roll. We'll see how your visit goes.
All right, that's a 1. Sanity roll.
Oh, success. Okay. Roll a d4, and we'll see how much sanity you gain. Just how relaxing this is.
Yeah.
Very relaxing. So yeah,
That's
maybe
unusual. Hunter usually doesn't have good experiences in the woods.
I was just
You know,
about to
the
say
nice
that.
thing about fish is the fish don't whisper to you.
Unless they didn't this
no.
time, but yeah, I was about to bring that up exactly. High Tide. Hunter, you haven't had the greatest experiences with the woods, and you keep seeing these weird visions about the woods, but you head out there like you need to conquer this fear. You're going to prove once and for all that nature can be good. The woods are fine. You're going to exist in the woods and it's going to be fine. And it is fine. And so that, that kind of helps clear some like cobwebs of doubt in the back of your head. Like there was still part of your brain that was saying, no, 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 the woods are bad. The woods are bad. Don't go in the woods. Don't go in the woods alone. But you managed to kind of sweep that out of the way a little bit. You're like, it's fine. I'm not getting these visions anymore. It's been, I don't know, however long you stay in the woods, and maybe this visit to the woods is months later or something, but it's been a few months, it's been a few weeks, whatever. There's no big deal. And so you regain a bit of sanity, you regain a little bit of assurance in the real world, and that nature isn't just out to kill you and whisper things in your ears. So yeah, 4 points of sanity, pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely better than 1.
Definitely. High Tide.
Yeah, so the other bond that I was going to try to repair was the bond with my best friend. And I feel like it kind of fits that I would have called him up when I came back and like tried to set up a camping trip or something, just like a getaway where we could hang out and, try to rekindle our friendship and everything. But then we went away for another month.
Oh, so you think you called him, set it up, and then disappeared?
Yeah, so I called him, set it up, and disappeared. And after just getting onto thin ice with my wife or fiance, I didn't want to call her to come pick me up after another month. So I would call my friend. So now we have the entire car ride back to the park so I can go home.
Yes. So what's the scene here you want to actually do? Sorry.
He comes to the hospital and picks me up and is
Oh, okay,
driving
the
me
best friend
to-
does. Okay, I thank you.
and he's a little salty because I disappeared for a month and didn't show up to the trip.
Yeah. So I think he's a little salty, but there's some element of it where he's like, I mean, you were just in a coma. He picked you up from the hospital. I don't know. So he's definitely salty, but it's like, man, I wish we could have gone on that trip. I think it's getting too late in the year at this point. It's pretty. I feel like it's gonna snow any day now. Well, we still could. We just need to bring heavier duty stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for that, but I really don't know what I'm gonna say to Carmen. I don't know if she talked to you at all, but
Oh yeah, no, trust me. She's been. I'm sure she's been talking to everybody.
yeah, and I don't know, man. How am I supposed to explain this? I don't know. Why'd I have to go into intelligence? I didn't think it would be this crazy.
But I don't know, man. That's above my head. That stuff's all crazy to me. Do you want to talk about it? What's going on?
I don't know. What are they telling everyone? They're just telling everyone I was in a coma?
Roll me that sanity check. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean that's what the doctor said, a coma, right? That's what it was. It was just a coma.
I don't know. I can't remember anything from the last month, but the last thing I remember was the government picked me up. So
So you
I
weren't
don't know
like
if
you
they were
didn't like
trying to do something.
hear things in there at all or anything like that. I feel like on TV I see people talking about like people who stop by can like hear things in there sometimes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't frankly remember anything of it.
Oh, okay.
I just remember they were gonna check me out after being held for a month, and I woke up and they said I was in a coma.
That is extremely shitty timing. They say
Yeah,
what
you're
caused
telling
it?
me. I don't know. I don't know if I can trust them, man. I've been working for them for I don't know 5 years now, and just seems to be getting worse and worse, and I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man.
That's okay.
Hey.
I just gotta figure out what I'm gonna say to Carmen.
Yeah. Well, only you can really figure that out. It's between you and her. But hey, if you need to take some time off and get your brain right, I feel like it's getting too cold for a camping trip. I don't know if I talked big talk earlier, but it's let's just you and me. Let's go out to a bar some night, huh?
I would love that.
Go ahead and roll that d6. We'll see how much you repair that bond. Pretty
Ooh,
good, 4 points.
that is my highest bond now.
Hell yeah.
And then do I uncheck my dad because he's just angry at me now?
After these home scenes, everybody can uncheck all of their bonds. I think
Thank you.
we covered all of them. Essentially, what the checks are
And-
there for. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that it also makes sense to not have repaired it with my remaining bond, because part of what I wrote before was that that bond doesn't like how dangerous my work is and doesn't
Ah.
want that near the family. So,
Makes sense.
hooray!
Yeah, and
So,
unfortunate. Sorry.
Sorry, I can wait.
Oh, just unfortunate stuff for hematite all around. Very bad luck on both home scenes.
It just
So-
confirms that she can't trust anyone.
Guess
Hmm.
so. Yeah.
Not even herself.
Whoa.
If we didn't do a home scene with a damage bond, it stays damaged, correct?
It will. So uncheck all of them. Because normally what that's for, those checks are just to like remind us when we get to home scenes that, hey, you damaged these bonds, you might want to like explain why they got damaged, like did you miss
Gotcha.
an
That makes
anniversary
sense.
or the kids baseball game or whatever. But I think we all know what happened, that you all went missing for a couple months right in a row. It's pretty obvious. So you can uncheck all of them. We all know how you hurt your bonds here, even unintentionally.
And I feel like it makes sense because after months, my dad's probably called me like 20 or 30 times, and I just haven't called him back.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so great home scenes, good stuff. Some very, very emotional role playing in a few places. A year passes. The year 2000 now, and another year passes, and another year passes, and no word from Delta Green. You leave dead drops. You try to contact them. Nothing. It's 2005 by the time you get something from them. And maybe at that point, some of you are even like, you've given up on checking, but some of you are, maybe still just checking like out of habit. Like you just happen to look at the dead drop occasionally. Maybe some of you find the dead drop pretty late because you just aren't checking at that frequently. But you do remember that, between the last operas, there was like a year and a half, whatever. Maybe they're just like getting back to you. Some of you don't want to believe that they really have just dropped you. Some of you do want to believe that they really have dropped you, but there's this fear that they haven't dropped you, so you keep checking it just in case. Whatever the reason, and however you find yourself fighting this dead drop, each of you pulls out a manila envelope with a little green triangle on it. Maybe it's under a park bench, maybe it's under a mailbox, or it's up in a tree or something. There's different locations for each of you that you've prearranged. We see each of you open the envelope, pull out a sheet of paper with an address on it. I think that's where we'll cut it for this time, actually. I think that makes sense. I think that's a nice dramatic end. It's been years. You guys almost thought you were cut free from Delta Green, and then they contacted you again. Next time we'll figure out what you're being contacted for, how all of this is going, maybe how any of your characters have changed in the 6 or so years since we last saw them. Yeah. Thank you for playing
Wow.
with me tonight.
Thank you for
Right,
running. I
thank
was
you.
not expecting that.
So we just failed the mission. Fun.
Fun!
Time is convoluted.
We failed the mission and they think they're insane, so they need a crazy group of people.
I think that means we all remain sane and alive. I think that means we won the mission.
Yeah.
That's mostly what you can hope for, yeah. I will say, fail the mission asterisk. It's somewhat tricky, because if you remember, like, the number one objectives of Delta Green are like obscure the incursion or stop the incursion, obscure the incursion, all that kind of stuff, right? Like obscure Delta Green, all of these things. Like saving lives is very low on the list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not news about aliens around except for the normal conspiracy theory stuff. So does it feel like a victory to your characters? Maybe, maybe not. I'll leave it up to your own character's interpretation, right? But whatever happened, the incursion isn't active in the same place anymore. Something. Who knows if Delta Green has been responsible for like bombing cities and things in the past just to get rid of pieces of incursion, right? So Delta Green probably sees this as a victory, whether your characters do or not, even if not a particular, maybe a Pyrrhic victory, but still a victory, or at least not a total loss. So, like I said, your agents have basically lost all connection with their humanity at this point, outside of a couple of you barely clinging to it in a few places. So maybe that's not a victory.
Literally hanging on by a thread.
Exactly. But
Am I able to make my fiance wife? Because it's been like 6 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can change that. That's totally fair.
Yeah. And I think, at this point, Hala will have left the FBI.
So he's PI.
It's been 6
Hello.
years. It's been long enough.
Yeah, that's been a lot of years.
Yeah, makes sense. And yeah, just wanted to check in with everybody. That was a little bit more of an intense session. Everybody doing okay with that one? That worked for everybody?
I am. Thank you for asking.
I am. I'm just confused.
Yeah, fair. Wanted to
I'm
make sure we didn't get
confused.
a little too intense with some things, but
I've been having a lot of anxiety recently, so it felt like I failed the role play somehow.
No,
I don't
that
think
was
you did.
just. I think that was great,
No.
actually.
Yeah, it's just I'm
I
going
thought that
through
was
an
a great
extended
scene.
transition period, and my probably autistic brain is panicking every single day.
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry to hear
I'm
that.
sorry.
I almost got stabbed by my wife in game.
in game.
Man, the whole time we were sitting on the park bench with Grace, I was thinking, can I just wipe her memory of all of us and can
You
we walk
could've.
away?
That would have been an option. I would have played with it.
Yeah, and then it's like, but then it's like, if I wipe her memory of all of us, she's going to wonder what the hell we're doing there sitting there. And maybe
Yeah.
she tells them to take a shot anyway because she just got mind manipulated and she's probably got training for that.
They've got to have
Also,
something planned for that.
everybody in the park was Delta Green.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
would
they
have all
also
just
had-
gotten shot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. But yeah, no, I thought that was great roleplay, Joanna. I thought that was good stuff. It was just it's weird that in so many other systems that would seem like a failed scene, right? But really in this game, we're trying to roleplay out like cop dramas and stuff where people are like constantly getting into shitty situations with their family members and friends and things, and so it was a successful scene is what it was.
Yeah,
we're
and,
trying to
like,
get that drama.
I get, like, intellectually, I know that failing roleplay just isn't a thing.
Yeah,
But
I can understand that.
No, yeah, you were
it
good.
still feels like, oh no, you did something wrong, you got off track.
Good stuff.
Even though I'm setting the track.
Well, I am happy to confirm it was great. So
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
thank you all for playing again, and we'll pick up this next opera next time.
Yeah, thank you.